Coming up today, we are going to look at a really cheap Max Baranet guitar. And when I say cheap, we're talking £11,000 or around 15,000 US dollars. We're also going to see an interview with Max Baranet and also some pictures that my good buddy BV Ninja sent me. So stick around. First of all, I want to show you this, which is what I found today. And this is a Max Baranet Sunburst with real vintage Gibson Les Paul 59 parts. Look at his exquisite work. Now this doesn't have any pickups in it, but it's got hardware from a 59 and it's also got the wiring loom in it as well. So here are some pictures of this Max guitar, and there we go, there is the 59 wiring harness, and I think you'll agree this guitar looks really stunning. It says this is an old original Max Baranet Sunburst with a real vintage 59 parts. The plastic is mostly repo, but the entire harness and switch, stroke jack, tuners, etc. are all 1959. There are no pickups installed, which is why this wood is a steal. A steal at nearly £11,000, my goodness. It's very rare to find a Max for sale at any price below 15,000, and this is very true. This is not a kit build, it was built entirely by Max himself with documentation including a handwritten note to say that this is one of his masterpieces. Yep, I have to say that Max Baranet is really an incredible builder of replica guitars, and particularly the 59 bursts. So let's now go over and check out the pictures that BV Ninja sent me. Okay, I hope you enjoyed those. Now let's get to the main feature and check out this interview. So I have a buddy online who sent me this wonderful interview with Max Baranet, and I'm not sure he's allowed to be shown, so I've trimmed it down. Let's go and have a look at what Max has to say about guitar building, and particularly quite a bit about the 59 burst.
What makes a great guitar a great guitar?
So, well, for instance, Stradivarius are very sought after, and it's funny because you had people all around the world trying to get a hold of a splinter of the wood, a little scraping of the finish. There are several physicists who have analyzed these little pieces, and builders have analyzed them, and people have just gone crazy. sending tone signals through the instrument and measuring, measuring the output. But the thing all these scientists miss is the factor of the human soul. These guys don't believe in that. And that's what Stradivarius put into his instruments, that you cannot reproduce. And it doesn't matter the construction and the materials, he put his soul into those instruments. I call it, creative energy.
Okay.
So, and that's what makes fine art as opposed to, posters and wall hangings.
Of course.
Like, there was no soul in any Warhols. Warhol didn't even do most of his work. He had a screen printer doing it.
Yeah, arguably so.
Yeah, and that's why a Jackson Pollock is not just a bunch of drippings. The guy put his heart and soul into those paintings.
Yeah, he sure did.
And a Rothko is not just a big blotch of color.
Yeah.
Coltrane is not just a bunch of notes.
That's true.
I mean, these guys were serious. You can't buy it at Stu Mac.
Is it mojo?
I think that's what people are referring to when they say mojo, or or vibrations, whatever.
Right, sure.
But and getting back to the CNC and making an exact copy misses the point.
How so?
You're just gonna get a dead piece of wood. That's it. There's no soul in that instrument. Now you get a guitar. When I was a kid, we used to go to the pawn shops in New York, and we used to call it a player guitar.
Right.
And we used to look for a guitar that a guy owned forever, played his heart and soul out with that thing, and for whatever reason, he had to hock it. The guy did not want to let that guitar go.
Exactly.
But he had to, and the minute you picked that thing up, you could feel it.
What was your inspiration to build guitars?
Well, all I can really say is, my customers always say the same thing. They always say, I can't play a wrong note. I can't put it down. The guitar plays itself. They always say that, word for word. And I'm happy.
Many people say a Max is better than a Gibson.
I've had several collectors that own real bursts, like several real bursts, tell me that their Max sounded better.
Sounded and played better, or?
Yeah, both. Both, which I was always surprised they would admit, considering how much money they had invested in these real 59s. But there's like 4 guys that just freely admitted that the Max sounded better.
Did you get in any trouble for copying the 1959 bursts?
And in the early days, I got a lot of grief.
Did you?
Yeah, in the early days, I got blamed for every fake that appeared on the market. Every single one.
Yeah.
Was my fault.
It's a Max, right?
That's right.
It's almost like Coca-Cola, right? It doesn't matter who built it. It's a Max, right?
It was like 15 years where I got hassled.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, people came around and realized, it was actually a good thing. You could save a couple $100,000. Oh well.
What advice would you give to other builders to make great guitars?
But I'd say, passion is probably the most important thing. I think if you're passionate about something, you're probably going to do a better job than somebody that's just, waiting to get paid.
Sure, I understand that.
It's going to be a better instrument than if it's built by a guy in a factory who just wants to get home to his can of beer and television set.
What have you done to improve the design of the guitar?
Absolutely nothing.
That's interesting.
I mean, I think a 59 Les Paul is just, it's a pinnacle of, well, I mean, I've described it before as like all these diverse factors come together in 59 and then immediately start diverging again.
Immediately, too, right?
Yeah. It's like, you know, and, you know, I mean, early 60 obviously is great, and I love the late 60 NAC. That's my personal favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, but so say 59 and 60, it was a perfect design. Actually, maybe it wasn't so perfect. Probably could have been a little, the mahogany could have been a little thinner. The guitar could have been a little lighter, which is why I did those Stevie Ds.
Okay.
That was my principle on those. But, I mean, still, look at all the great music that got made. I think it would have been a bigger success if they'd used a thinner mahogany body.
It's interesting because the Sunburst didn't go too far.
Well, that's true. They,
You know?
I mean, look at the Gold Top sales figures. They were a lot higher.
A lot higher, right?
But, yeah, who knows? Yeah, it's hard to figure why that model wasn't as popular. If there had been 5,000 of those manufactured in 59, they never would have, you know, jumped up in value as high as they did.
Would Gibson have made the Les Paul without Fender competition?
Gibson was definitely competing with Fender.
Sure.
You know, Fender, the one thing I learned about selling guitars is people want it cheap and they want it now. Those are the two factors.
Sure.
Cheap being the main thing, and I think that's where Leo got in there.
I think so, too. Yeah.
Cheap. Because, I mean, look at what he did. He took a rectangular board and he just rounded the edges. That's it.
Yeah,
Stuck
sure
a neck
did.
on it.
Gibson fell out of favor in the 80s and you were a big part of their return.
Me slash and the Japanese. Japanese were the guys that started the initial incline in the prices.
What year do you think that was?
88.
Okay.
88, I've got pictures at the Arlington show or the Dallas show, like a dozen Les Pauls on a table, $5,000 to $6,000. None of them selling.
Really?
Yeah, they were dead. Everybody wanted Charvels.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
And,
that.
yeah, everybody in LA was playing Charvels except Slash.
Exactly.
And you had those three videos, Welcome to the Jungle,
Yep.
Sweet Child of Mine, and Paradise City. They were constantly on MTV.
Yep.
And there's a little known fact, the Japanese government would give Japanese citizens a $30,000 loan at very low or no interest if they bought something of cultural significance. This
From
was
the
in
United
80s.
States?
Yeah. No, didn't have to be just anything.
Oh, really?
cultural. So
Okay.
you got a interest-free loan of $30,000, and that just immediately drove the prices
Sure.
up to $30,000.
And
I
then,
mean,
yeah.
they went from $6,000 to about, in 6 months, they were up to about 16,000. 6 months later, they were up to 24,000, and they just kept climbing. And then, and the American dealers initially were glad to just, you know, shove all the Les Pauls they could over to Japan.
Sure.
But then people started getting nervous because, you know, they weren't coming back.
Yeah. Obviously.
Japanese don't resell anything. So people got nervous and started buying in the States, and that just really drove it up to, you know, by 2007, there were guitars going for like $600,000 and $700,000.
Wow.
Like my film that I was doing,
Yeah.
I had agreed with several dealers not to state that the guitars were selling that high, but to just drop it down to like 400 because
Really? Okay.
because otherwise there's no way they couldn't get any deals anymore.
Exactly.
You know, everybody
Yeah.
wants 700,000 for their burst, so that's why I put it at 4, even though it was much higher.
There you go, a little interview with Max Baranet that my friend very kindly sent me. A big thank you to him. I can't mention his name because I'm not sure he might get into trouble. So there we have it. Max Baranet is possibly the greatest builder of replica Les Paul bursts. As always, I'm really keen to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that these are still fakes, or are they white collar fakes, or are they something better than even Gibson could build? Let me know. I really look forward to reading your suggestions. I'll be back really soon with the best content I can, but until then, as always my friends, you take good care.